So this time we'll be taking a look from the Toy Biz Series 5 of Marvel Legends. We're going to be taking a look at Mr. Fantastic. First, let's take a look at the back of the package here. As you can see, comes with the general write-up, the power grid and statistics, as well as the write-up for Mr. Fantastic himself. And you can see the other figures in this wave. Getting into the sculpt of the figure, it's pretty good. Nice details on the hair and in the face. It definitely gets through the very scrawny, thin look of Reed Richards, as opposed to the more bulkier characters. The paint job is okay, but it's not as clean as I would like it here, with the differences between the blue and the dark blue, the very dark blue, almost black. And this is more of their sort of their classic appearance from, let's say, the late 60s all the way up to the mid 80s, when John Byrne took over and gave them switched out the dark parts of their costume for white. And for accessories, you already saw his main accessory, which is this kind of a base and vehicle at the same time, and that is the front part of the Fantastic car. And you can see here he's got all sorts of controls, view screen, neat little design features to this thing. He's got a little seat, and the seat you can flip up if you want to give the figure room enough to stand, or if there's a larger figure that you want to put in there. When this came out, I remember hoping that they would somehow incorporate with the rest of the Fantastic Four a collect and connect, or build a vehicle. So in other words, if they would have maybe another thing come out and give him a piece of the Fantastic car, and Invisible Woman, give her a piece of the Fantastic car, and so that way when you would collect the figures, you could build and have a whole Fantastic car. But unfortunately, we didn't get that, so this is it, aside from the movie Fantastic car. But you can see here, it's also got this great design features and details on the bottom. Very nice. Here's the thing, you can actually put it into the wall with a thumbtack or something to hang it off of the wall. And he also came with 2 attachments for his arms, and to simulate his stretching powers. Now they came with 1 for each of his arms, and unfortunately I can only find the 1 for his right hand. His left hand is in the shape of a fist/hammer. His right hand is enlarged, and they both have wires in them, so they're flexible to some extent. This hand is, all the fingers are flexible to varying degrees. You can even kind of get him in a sort of a fist. The thumb is supposed to have a wire in it, but it seems that that's been left out on mine. to replace the hands, you would just take his arms off at the forearm here. It is a bit of a chore to do because they are set pretty well in there, and that does give it support in for the arm. But unfortunately, this arm is just too heavy to stand up on its own, and the elbow joint here, as you can see, flops right down. For articulation, the head goes side to side, up and down. Arms go all the way around. He's got the extra shoulder joints. Rotates at the bicep, bends at the elbow, rotates at the forearm here, which I kind of don't like because it breaks up the sculpt a lot, but that's just me. Little tiny negative bit about the figure. His hands bend at the wrist, and his fingers are articulated together. Ab crunch, as well as waist articulation. He's got probably some of the best joints here, hip joints of the Marvel Legends that I ever had. I really like this. You know, you can go forward and back and out. Rotate at the thigh, upper thigh double knee joint. Rotate at the boot there. Bend at the ankle. He's got an ankle pivot as well, and he's got toe articulation. Mr. Fantastic's first appearance, of course, is in Fantastic Four #1. Reed was the son of science genius Nathaniel Richards, and Reed inherited his smarts from his father. Unlike his father, he was a child prodigy and had enrolled in college by the age of 14 and was completing courses at an accelerated rate, so that by the age of 20 he had several advanced degrees, and he had managed to attend several prestigious universities, including MIT, Harvard, Columbia, those of course being real institutions, but also the Marvel Universe State University, where he met Ben Grimm and Victor Von Doom. So he meets a young Victor Von Doom, and he notices Von Doom working on this machine, and he, just out of curiosity, goes over his notes and finds out that Doom's equations are a little bit off, and he tries to tell Doom this, but Doom won't listen and starts the machine up, and the machine blows up and scars Von Doom for life. Thus, Von Doom blames Richards for the accident and begins a lifelong obsession with beating or getting revenge on Reed Richards for his interference. While attending college, a young Reed Richards rents a room from the aunt of Sue Storm, who has just come to live with the aunt because of her father going to jail. And the young Sue Storm, who's about 13, 14 years old, develops a crush on Reed Richards. Now here's where it gets a little bit confusing, and the original origin of Mr. Fantastic doesn't match up, because it's been 45 years since then. Because in the 60s, it's said that Reed went into the service the army, and he that's where he met Nick Fury during the war, World War II. Then, after coming home from the war, he immediately set out on trying to win the space race with Russia. Again, because of the way that comic books have to reflect the current times, this has been changed and rearranged in the origin, so it's been updated to eliminate the more dated aspects of his origin. He does develop a new type of rocket space vehicle to go up into space, and whether back in the original 60s origin or the newer updated version, it's in the interest of getting the rocket ship off the ground and into space, because the powers that be have yanked funding and don't believe in his project anymore. And so out of spite, he's going to steal the rocket and with a makeshift crew and prove that it works. Taking Ben Grimm, who is the pilot, and his fiancée Sue Storm and her brother Johnny Storm as crew. They go into space. They encounter a wave of or a intense barrage of cosmic rays, and the shielding he had previously thought to be enough to spare them any effects from this intense bombardment of cosmic rays fails, and the rocket crashes, and they come out from the wreckage and they find that they have all these fantastic new powers. He realizes that he has to do something quite quickly before their powers make them feared by the public. So he decides to create this superhero team of the Fantastic Four, trying to atone for his mistake. He gets married to Sue Storm, and a couple of years later, Sue gets pregnant with their first child. The birth gives a lot of trouble to both the mother and child. However, they do make it through. Their son Franklin is thought to be the world's most powerful mutant. Most mutants, their powers present at puberty. However, Franklin's start immediately after birth. Without consulting Sue, Reed induces a coma in Franklin to prevent his powers from causing any trouble. This causes a lot of strife in the marriage, and eventually they do reconcile when Franklin comes out of the coma and has had some of his powers drained away. Reed works with Professor X to initiate some mental blocks so that his son will not have his full array of powers yet. They're happy for a while, and Sue gets pregnant again. And again, they know that this is going to have this childbirth is going to cause some medical problems for both the mother and the child. And it's apparent when Sue goes into labor that massive amounts of radiation are building. So Reed actually consults Doc Ock, who's an expert on radiation, to try and stem this build-up. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, and they lose their second child. More strife in the marriage and almost a divorce. But they do reconcile. They decide to retire and try and raise Franklin on their own, not as superheroes. However, Captain America, then known as the Captain, asks them to join the Avengers, which he's trying to reform after that previous team fell apart. And so they come out of retirement, and pretty soon they go back to being in the Fantastic Four. Reed is thought to have been killed, but was actually thrown into an alternate timeline. For several years he remains out of the Marvel Universe proper. Is actually a major plot point in that they're searching for Reed because Sue doesn't really think that he's died at all. So eventually they are reunited. However, soon after that, Onslaught strikes, and the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, appear to have died in combating Onslaught. Of course, that's not true, and they are just shunted into a pocket dimension that has been created by none other than Franklin Richards in an attempt to save his family and his friends. So all those heroes that were shuffled into that dimension are returned to the regular Marvel Universe. They encounter a teenaged version of a daughter between Sue and what's thought to be Dr. Doom, but actually turns out to be Reed Richards. And they think she's just a anomaly, one of these people that's been created by an alternate timeline and stuff, but they welcome her into the family. And then as time goes on, they discover that she was actually created by Franklin back when their second child was about to die, and this is actually that child, just grown in another dimension or something, is that she is reduced back to a fetus and gets put back into Sue, and Sue delivers her again, and this time with the help of none other than Dr. Doom, manages to give birth safely. And so now you have both Franklin and Valeria, two children. Reed is one of the Illuminati, the cabal that supposedly is to make all like big huge decisions in the Marvel Universe. He falls among the pro-registration people during the Civil War. Right now he's just trying to deal with the death of Johnny Storm like all the other Fantastic Four members are. And I guess that'll do it for Mr. Fantastic. So stay tuned for my review of The Thing and other Fantastic Four members from Marvel Legends. And until my next video, see ya.